At the beginning, Teru was thinking that living creatures had their own way of dividing habitats, that the weak hid in the grass while the strong walked proudly in the sunlight. A classroom scene followed where some boys were talking among themselves. One boy remarked that Kenta had brought a game to school. Another boy commented that if it was Yamasen, he would not notice. A third boy exclaimed in excitement, and the first boy said they should play after school. Teru sat quietly at his desk until he suddenly called out "Hey" to those boys and, with a tense face, stammered that he also played that game a lot, that he had already cleared it 4 times, and that his level was maxed out. One of the boys turned toward Teru, muttered an awkward response, and turned back away. Teru, panicking, sat down with shaking hands while the boys mocked him, saying that nobody asked him to brag and that he could totally hear them. Another boy wondered aloud if Teru just wanted to be included in the conversation, but another dismissed the idea and said there was no way they would include him. The boy sitting in front of Teru told him to know his place. Teru, with a tense expression, thought about habitat division as a means for the weak to protect themselves. The scene then shifted to 10 years later. A school building appeared, and Mikage Teru was playing a game at his desk while some boys beside him talked among themselves. One boy said that the game he had bought recently was really fun. Another boy asked if it was the horror game mentioned before, and the first boy confirmed it. The second boy complained that he had not been able to sleep because of it, and the first boy teased him about ignoring his girlfriend again just to play games. The conversation was interrupted when someone pointed out Saionji Rei. Students around them reacted by saying she looked perfect again that day. One student identified Saionji Rei as the daughter of a Zaibatsu family and super rich. Another mentioned that she had been top of the grade in the last mock exam. Teru watched silently as more students commented that she had apparently won first place in the city karate tournament and that she excelled in both academics and sports, describing her as the definition of a perfect, beautiful girl. Teru thought he already knew, since it was like this every morning. A student called out to Rei asking for help in math, and Rei responded that she would study complex numbers with Sato-san. Students then excitedly asked her about love letters, home parties, chorus contests, and karate club help. Rei answered each one calmly, instructing them to leave schedules on her desk, agreeing to attend a house party, and stating that she was writing a reply to Shima-kun's letter. Teru wondered if Rei was like Prince Shotoku, listening to everything at once, and once the crowd around her finally dispersed, Teru sighed and thought again about the weak staying hidden in the grass while the strong walked proudly in the sunlight. He then wondered whether the game he played was too harsh on solo players. Nearby, some students excitedly suggested adding each other as friends in the same game. Teru, playing quietly, thought that he did not need to be popular but wished he at least had one friend to play games with. The scene moved to a gaming store. Teru sat alone at an arcade machine and thought that he was at the arcade all alone. After checking his watch, he noted it was already 10 p.m. and decided he would play Zombie and Gun one more time and head home as the perfect way to wrap up the day. When he approached the game, he noticed someone else already there and thought it was rare to see a girl there before him. He wondered if she was smoking and whether the place allowed it. He thought she looked flashy and noticed that her aim was terrible. Teru tried to offer advice, telling her that she had to press the button and parry, but she died in the game and then kicked the machine, shocking him. When Teru nervously tried to speak, the girl stormed over, grabbed his collar, and shouted that she died because of him. As she held him, she noticed Teru's school uniform, released him abruptly, handed him the gun, and walked out. Teru had no idea what had just happened. He then noticed an ID case on the floor, picked it up, and realized what it was. Running through the streets, he thought it could not be because the person from earlier seemed like someone who belonged in the sunlight. As he continued running, a girl suddenly came out of an alley and bumped into him, apologizing tensely before running off. Moments later, Teru heard screams around a corner and was stunned to find that the girl from before, dirty-faced after beating several boys, was Saionji Rei. Holding her ID card in his hand, he stammered Rei's name. Rei wiped her face and admitted she had been found out. Teru, trembling, insisted he was only trying to return a lost item. Rei studied him coldly and asked with a dead stare whether he was the kind of guy who could keep someone's secret. The next scene returned to school, where Teru was at his desk playing a game while thinking he was Mikage Teru and alive. He thought about how he had accidentally learnt Saionji Rei's sensational secret and had run away immediately to erase his presence so that she would not find him. He assured himself that since he ran right away, his identity should not have been until Rei suddenly greeted him beside his desk, asking if he was Mikage-kun because she had something to talk about. Teru panicked and insisted she had the wrong person. Ray smiled, then moments later appeared furious, slammed her foot into the wall behind him, and demanded to know why he was pretending. She called him by his full name in class. Teru squeaked out an apology. On the staircase, Ray asked why he was apologizing and shoved her face close to his. Teru, shaking, denied telling anyone what he saw. Ray interrogated him about parents, teachers, or friends, grabbed his face, and forced him to look at her as he thought his survival instincts were screaming that his life was in danger. Teru worried someone might see them at school, but Ray told him he clearly understood the situation he was in. She warned him that if he told anyone about this even slightly, there would be consequences. Teru, trembling, insisted he had no one to tell anyway. Ray said she did not believe him. Teru desperately asked what he could do to make her believe him. Ray decided she would make herself believe in him by keeping an eye on him until she could trust him from good morning to good night. Teru realized this meant surveillance. Ray praised him for catching on quickly and said it was useless to run or hide. She then declared she had decided and told him they would get along from now on, calling him Mikaze-kun. Teru weakly agreed. Later at the arcade, Teru was shocked that Ray had followed him all the way there. Ray stated confidently that she was surveilling him. Teru noted that Ray looked flashy in that environment. Ray commented that she had been watching Teru all day and realized he really had no friends. Her words pierced him. Teru snapped that it hurt coming from Saionji-san, who had tons of friends. Ray muttered, "Friends, huh?" Teru noticed she was bothered and asked what it was. Ray dismissed it, but Teru thought the situation felt uncomfortable. Ray then said the game machine was not fun and complained that it did not hit the target. Teru insisted it worked fine. Ray grew angry, asking if Teru was implying she was bad at the game. Teru nervously denied it, thinking she was short-tempered. Ray challenged him to a scoring match. After they played, she lost and trembled in frustration. Teru felt guilty because playing two-player was so new and exciting for him. He revealed it was his first time playing a game with someone else. Ray burst into tears, slamming her feet, crying that it was frustrating. Teru thought she behaved like a creature he could not comprehend and tried to calm her down. Eventually, with puffy red cheeks, Ray accused him of cheating and asked why she was the one losing. Teru thought she was like a child and asked why she was so worked up. Ray admitted that up until now, there had not been anything she could not do studying or sports. She grabbed his shoulder and begged Teru to teach her the game. She then said this was perfect because she could also keep an eye on him to ensure he didn't talk. She declared they would meet again the next night. Teru noted internally that she was not listening. Over the next week, they met repeatedly at the arcade and at school. Teru thought Ray was like a wild horse. One night, Ray was smoking and asked Teru if there was a problem. Teru denied it nervously. Ray offered him a puff, saying everyone admired cool smokers. Teru tried to object that smoking at a young age was dangerous, but Ray told him to shut up. Teru finally asked her when she started smoking. Ray was stunned, then suddenly asked if Mikage liked her. He panicked and asked how she arrived at that conclusion. Ray said she simply thought he showed interest in people after all. Teru responded sarcastically, wondering if he was a robot. Ray said it was just surprising. Ray then admitted that she started going out at night and smoking after she moved up to the next school. Teru was surprised she actually answered. He asked why she did it. Ray explained she got tired of being the popular rich girl, always smiling and meeting expectations. Teru nervously pointed out she had lots of friends, unlike him. Ray scoffed, saying that those did not look like friends. People were only interested in the status attached to Seonji Ray. When placed on a pedestal, the concept of friends disappeared. Teru awkwardly apologized for bringing it up and confessed he did not know how to respond. Ray said it was fine and that she did not know why she had talked so much either. Teru then told her that the version of Seonji-san he met at night was charming and that he liked that. Ray immediately took out a cigarette, placed one in Teru's mouth, and teased him for trying to act cool. Teru panicked, asking if he said something weird. Ray laughed hard, saying he was strange. She touched his face and warned his bangs might catch fire, then lit his cigarette with her own. She teased him for making a weird face and lamented when his cigarette fell, calling it a waste as he begged her to stop. She added that if he took a puff, their break would be over, prompting Teru to panic and mutter, "Wah teacher," while blushing and hiding his face. Then scene shifted back to the classroom where Ray called out Mikage-kun, and Teru responded internally with Seonji-san. Ray told him he worked hard, and Teru insisted in his mind that this was school. Ray pointed out that there was no one else present and said she was heading to the arcade first, telling him to hurry up. Ray smiled as she said she would see him later. Teru, stunned, answered yes and wondered if that was what meeting up after school felt like. Someone then called out, "Hey," and Teru asked if they still wanted something. Two girls, Miki and Sato, approached. Miki asked Mikage-kun if he was free because she needed to talk to him, and Sato repeated that she needed to talk to him as well. The three of them then stood behind the school building. Teru thought that these people were often near Saionji-san and wondered whether they were her entourage. Teru asked what they wanted with him, explaining that he had plans after this. Sato said she would be frank and asked what Teru's relationship with Rei-sama was, then introduced herself as Sato from Class A and introduced Miki as well, saying that they were friends of Rei-sama. Teru was stunned that they called themselves friends. Sato emphasized that they ate lunch together every day, and Miki added that even in P.E., they were always paired up. Sato said Rei-sama was so cute and always modest, while Miki added that Rei never got mad at boys teasing. Sato said Rei was always composed, and Miki said she really was a mature woman. Teru thought that everything they said was wrong. Sato explained that she had heard there was a guy recently hanging around Rei-sama, so she came to check, calling him quite a nobody. Sato explained that Rei-sama was everyone's admiration and that it was natural to protect one's friends. That was why she confronted Teru. Teru thought to himself that this wasn't correct either, because Saionji-san was actually short-tempered, hated losing, was childish, and was quick to lash out. Teru grabbed his clothes and could barely form the words, "Sa, manjian." Sato stepped closer and said that back in middle school, Teru was always skipped over during roll call, leading to the nickname Air. She asked if Teru thought he could be something special with Rei. Sato walked toward him, asking whether he had been dreaming that he could be special, and then shouted at him to know his place and know his limits. Teru was shocked as the words, "Know your place," repeated in his mind. Sato and Miki walked away, saying that was all they had to say. Teru, sweating, sat on the ground and thought that what they said was right. The scene then shifted to the game shop, where Rei sat smoking and remarked that she thought Teru wasn't coming. Teru apologized for being late, and Rei smiled and suggested they practice. They played, and as Rei focused, Teru told her that her aim had gotten better. Rei blushed and thanked him. When her score surpassed his, Rei thought to herself that it was somewhat true. After the game ended and Rei won, she blushed and questioned aloud whether she had truly won. She then asked Teru if he was not holding back. Teru said he was not and added that this was how good Saionji-san was, that lately he thought it was only a matter of time before he would lose, and that she learnt quickly. He said that with this, the goal was achieved. Rei blushed and stammered, but Teru continued by saying that the need to be with him was gone now. Rei was stunned and asked why. Teru grabbed her hand and explained that if someone found out that someone like him was with Saionji-san, it would be strange. He said he guessed Rei realized there was no one to tell about her night outings anymore, that she must have understood that, and that even if it was part of his watching over her, it must have been unpleasant. Teru added that Saionji-san was different from him. Teru bowed and apologized for causing her trouble until now. Rei, hurt, said she understood. When Teru saw Rei's face, she was crying. Rei said that he was the same as everyone else. She wiped her tears, said goodbye, and ran away. Teru watched her go and told himself that it was fine, that it was for her, that returning to their respective places was correct. He then looked at the game, inserted a coin, picked up the gun, and shot zombies but wondered why it was suddenly not fun. He glanced to the side and thought of Rei's happy expression. Suddenly, he put the gun back, grabbed his bag, and ran while thinking that the two of them did have fun, that he had some hope deep in his heart, and that when Rei said, "Next, let's play a different game," he was scared of being rejected and lacked the confidence to be by her side. He thought Rei was always waiting for him. Then screams echoed, and the scene revealed blood on the ground. Rei was surrounded by a group of boys. She wiped blood from her nose and taunted them for needing a whole crowd to deal with one girl. A man approached and said it was just a greeting, that he heard Rei's people had been taken care of before, and that the Yakuza had something called pride. Rei thought about those guys from last time. The man grabbed her collar and commented on her good face and body, suggesting she could pay compensation with her body and asking whether she wanted the shop or us, saying he would let her choose. Rei expressed discomfort, and the man threatened that if she could not choose, he would tear her apart right there. Rei thought, "Here we go again," asking herself what she had been hoping for. She believed that even if she showed her true self, no one would accept her, see her, or love her. She concluded she had always been alone. Someone's feet entered the scene. It was Teru, who swung his bag and struck the man in the head with great force. Teru was drenched in sweat, and Ray was shocked as the man fell to the ground. Ray called out, Mikage-kun? And Teru asked if Sayonji-san was okay. Ray stammered that she was. Teru extended his hand and said he had called the police and they needed to run quickly. Ray, shocked, let him grab her hand, and the two ran away. Ray remained stunned as they fled. Later, they were shown on the road again, with Teru giving Ray a piggyback. Ray complained that she did not like it, but Teru said it could not be helped since her ankle was sprained and that they needed to move quickly before they were found. Teru noted the rain had stopped. Ray then asked why Teru helped her, saying it was just payback for a fight she started and had nothing to do with him. Teru answered that since she asked why, he would say it. Sayonji-san was not fighting because she liked it back then. He mentioned the girl who came out of the alley with her clothes messed up and said he thought Ray was helping someone who had been attacked. Ray admitted she thought the girl was assaulted or something like that, and that she got involved because she was more irritated than usual with her life as an elite young lady. Ray said she thought she might feel better if she hit someone, and that a perfect excuse fell into her lap. She insisted she had not acted out of justice and said she was not a good enough person that someone should help her. Teru responded with, even so. Ray repeated, even so. And Teru, blushing, stammered out the word friend, asking whether someone really needed a reason to help a friend. Ray was stunned and repeated the word friend, and Teru confirmed it with a blush. Ray cried with a blush and reminded him that he had said she did not need to stay with him. Teru apologized. Ray said that apology was not enough remorse. Teru agreed and awkwardly said he had a racing game to recommend. Ray asked what it was and whether he wanted to play it together. Teru said yes, but Ray initially said no, causing Teru to react in confusion. Ray then said she was kidding and told Teru to tell her about the new game tomorrow during lunch break. Teru asked if they were meeting at the usual stairs, but Ray said she would come to the classroom instead. Teru questioned this, and Ray said she felt it would be okay if friends were around. Teru was confused. The scene shifted to the school building the next morning. Students were entering when someone called out, Mikage-kun. Teru turned and saw Ray greeting him with good morning. Teru was startled and stammered at Sayonji-san, asking about her outfit. Ray asked if it looked cool. Teru nervously wondered if it was okay for her to be like that. Ray leaned in, grabbed his arm, and whispered that since he made her his friend, he would take responsibility, calling it a promise. She laughed with a blush. Teru blushed as well and muttered in confusion. Ray urged him to go. Teru, flustered, asked if she knew the proper distance between friends. Ray demanded what he meant. Teru quickly said it was nothing. Ray told him to speak clearly and kicked him lightly, causing Teru to yelp in pain.
By the way, if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking and subscribing, pretty please?